Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back with a new edition of Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter, and today's special guest, we got another Colorado wrestling connection. He's also with Devotion Championship Wrestling. This guy right here, he's doing his thing, man. He got the swag. He got the events lined up. I mean, he's doing this thing across the country. Y'all give it up for my guest, Mr. Manny Lemons. What's going on, Manny?
Hey, you know how we do, boys. That's to the best. You know the rest. It's your boy, the man, the brand, the king of the lemonade stand, live from the sports land, baby. Excited to have me on. You mentioned professional wrestler. I don't really consider myself a wrestler, though. I consider myself a international superstar. I'm the attraction that walks into CWC in Colorado Springs and gets everyone's attention, everyone's eyes on. So.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, man. For the people that don't know you, Manny, let them know where you from and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Manny Lemons. I've been wrestling for 12 years. I've wrestled. I have a story or something where I've had cross paths with everybody in the industry. I've worked with WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW, all the big wrestling promotions that you see on television. I'm currently owner of Devotion Championship Wrestling and the Al Snow Wrestling Academy of Utah, based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, which I call home. Um, I've been wrestling for 12 years all over the independent circuit, all over the world. So paying my dues, paying my time.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Worldwide wrestler, man. So, what was your first sport growing up?
Growing up, man, my family was a big sports family.
Okay.
I I love football, but when I was a kid growing up, I was a smaller kid, and my brother was the football star athlete. So I was kind of transitioned into baseball because I was kind of the nerdy kid growing up, and I didn't have the athletic ability that my brother had to sit there and compete with him at a young age. But the first sport I played was baseball. I played baseball all the way up to high school. I still play a little men's softball every now and then whenever I get the little itch, but I don't have any desire to pursue it farther than that. So, but football is my all-time favorite sport. I can't wait till the NFL starts here in the next few weeks, and it's going to be a good time.
Well, it starts tonight with the Hall of Fame game with the Texans and Chicago Bears. For everybody that's watching, make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Spotify, Deezer, Instagram, and follow us on Facebook. We got Mr. Nationwide Wrestler. This guy is a superstar. He's international. Mr. Manny Lemons. All right. So, Manny, you said that your brother was the superstar football player or athlete. Talk about who else inspired you to play sports.
I'd say my father would. My father's really big reason why we even got into the sports world. He was a big sports guy growing up, and it goes from his father and his mother passed down. It's kind of been a generation thing. Um, so, I mean, I would say like for sports wise though, when I became high school is when I became really into football. That's when I first started. It's like, all right, I can play this sport. I eventually became a all-state wide receiver at Kearns High, graduated in 2010. So football became a football star, but I was offered scholarships to go play at Utah State, Washington State, Southern Virginia. There's a little joke JUCO down there, but at that time I was 17 and I had a kid, and I used every excuse in the world to not go play football. So I should have went, and that's one of the reasons, one of the things I kicked my own butt over. But at the time I just didn't take advantage of it, and by the time I realized that it was too late, and I'm okay with that though. Like I said, I got a son. My son's thriving, playing, picking up the pieces where I left off. So.
Hey man, that's great, man. This is the best time of the year. School starting, football. Everybody got the pads on. Colleges right now coming out of camp. High school, they're about to hit it hard on Friday, tomorrow night. So, talk about the area you came from.
So I was born and raised Kearns, Utah, which is a suburb of Salt Lake City. I've gone up. My family was presidents and vice presidents of the Little League programs there for baseball, football. So they really helped elevate the Kearns territory to really kind of build it to what it is today. Because back in the day, I don't know if you follow high school football too much, but back in 2006, 2005 era, Kearns High was the worst high school in the nation.
What?
So yeah, so it was rated by ESPN, and my family has a good roots that really helps elevate that community as far as being good role models for us to really build that, to turn that around. Obviously it's not just one family or one person that did it, but I think my family was the start of that. And then I always say, leave it better than you found it. You found it. The next generation is to pick it up and make it better than it was. And they're
Yeah.
Kearns is thriving. The community itself is thriving. I keep telling myself, man, I'm gonna go be the mayor of Kearns, Utah one day. So we'll see.
Hey man, you got my vote, man, for all the work you put in, bro. For real. So when you started playing football, you said you played wide receiver. In baseball, what position did you play?
Bench. No, for real. I'd say I was more of an outfielder just because I had speed. My dad kind of hit me on first base because I wasn't the most athletic guy, but all I could do is catch. I could stretch and throw the ball. So I was a big first baseman. I tried pitcher and catcher. I was a catcher growing up, but as the ball came in faster, I couldn't catch the heat on that crap. So
Man.
80, 90 miles an hour, I was like, nah, I could do the 30, 40 miles, but
I feel you, man. A lot of people have the fear of either getting hit by the ball or the ball's going too fast. The
yep.
best way to start off with that is the pitching machine. If you get more reps in, and get your eye-hand coordination together. So,
Yeah.
talk about your coaches. Who were some of the coaches that really worked with you in your younger years, like right before high school or during our high school era?
I'd say so. My athletic endeavor. I mean, little league coaches. I have the Steve Myers was a good coach of mine growing up. He was a big family friend. But my dad was very influential in my coach as a coach. You know what I mean? A lot of people like the whole parent,
Yeah.
regime. It's like it's always frowned upon. But I really think my father is one of the best coaches in the world. And it's the way, I don't know, there's just something about playing for that man that fires you up and makes you want. And maybe it's just because he's my dad. But it's not even that because I watch other kids get inspired by it because he's a defensive coordinator at the local high school here too. So he's still coaching and he's still carrying that regime going on. And you watch how excited he gets and these kids younger get excited. You know what I mean? So I'd have to say my father was a big role model for sure. I put him at number one. Um, I have high school coaches that I remember. I'd say my high school football coach was definitely a part of my childhood, man. I still quote all his sayings to this day. Um, to this day, I'd say when I was a junior going in to start varsity in 2009, and he said this quote to me that stuck with me. He said, "You create your own legacy." And I'm talking, I use that quote in everything I do on my life. If I never heard it that day, my life could probably be very different. You know what I mean? Just based
Yeah.
on those words. Because I do believe that us as human beings have the ability to pursue our own goals, pursue our own dreams, pursue our own passions. And I found that through sports. His name was Bill Cosper. He recently passed away during the COVID era in 2020, but he was definitely a role model and an inspiration, not to just myself, but to a lot of the community out there in Kearns. Coach Rickards, who was my offensive coordinator at the time, he was a very big influence to myself. Um, After high school, I still kind of played the semi-pro thing, and I had a good coach there. His name was Troy Summers, and he really was a good role model. He still coaches in the community over there out of Hunter, which is another suburb. So a lot of the coaches that really helped elevate me and had a hand in the pot, because no one's self-made, and that's the thing I think people really realize. No one's self-made. It takes a bunch of people believing in you and helping guide you through this journey of life and getting you to that next level, wherever that may be, if it's college or sports, academics. Like these coaches in football are really the base of everything that we do as performers, as athletes, as people. I think all kids should really aspire. Everyone should be able to play sports because it really teaches a lot of real life goals. You know what I mean? Real life things.
Yeah, sports give you that discipline, and it also gives you that drive and that motivation to never quit. It's more of a mindset. And once you program into that mindset, you can tell who really impact you in life coming up in those development stages. It's right there in your face. All the quotes and everything they ever taught you is still in your DNA, right? And you try to do
Right.
everything to keep that momentum living on through yourself, through your kids, and you just want to make sure that you just do the right thing and lead by example. So, with that being said, your freshman year in high school, did you start it right away in football or baseball or?
I mean, I played football and baseball. I wouldn't say I was a starter by per se. I played for the sophomore team, as a 10th grader going in. Freshman ball was different out here. Like now it's ninth grade's high school, and I think that's probably where you are too. But back
Yeah.
in when I was going to school, the high schools couldn't house ninth grade. So ninth grade freshman was its own entity. It wasn't even involved with high school sports. You could still play. It was still freshman, you still go up and play. It just like Utah's rules and regulations, you didn't have to. So it's a weird dynamic. So when I got to sophomore, I played sophomore ball. I didn't dress varsity, and that was one of the things that goes back to learning as we go, because at that time I mentioned my brother and his friend group. I grew up with them and being friends with all them. They were older kids, so they were the cool kids. So they were all the ones playing the sports and starting varsity and really playing the game. But I was the little brother that kind of tagged along and kind of hung out. But being associated with them, I was just kind of in my mind at that time. I guess I was kind of thought it was going to happen just because I was around the people to make it happen. And it did happen. I ended varsity. And one of those things, that was one of the realest moments of my life where it's like, it was a failing moment where I said, I'm going to work my ass off. And the next year I was starting varsity, one of the top recruits, and changed really everyone's narrative of what I was. But that's just the hard work and dedication I put in the dark when no one was looking.
That's great. So in your area, who were some of y'all rivals in high school?
So high school.
Were you guys 4A, 5A, 6A?
Yeah. Now they're up to 6A, like here in Utah. They didn't have 6A when I was in high school. It was 4A, 5A, 3A, 4A, 5A. We were a 5A school. Our rivals, Curran's is very close to a rival, Hunter, which is, I think I mentioned that just barely, but that was a big rival week, bro. I'll never forget. We had friends that played for Hunter because we grew up in Little League. You kind of like, some go to high schools around there, some go to high schools around there, but you kind of knew each other because you grew up with the families and whatnot. And one of my buddies, his name's Big Derek Del Quattro. He was in graphics class and he was playing the rival school Hunter, and he said he made a shirt in Hunter's letters called Dom Who, and basically saying like, we don't, who is that? We don't care about that guy. We're gonna run all over him type deal. He wore that to my sophomore game, and because he was a senior starting varsity or whatever, and the impact of what he did. I swear to God, to this day, the reason they won that game based on him wearing that shirt, because that switched the whole momentum of rivalry. When you're a rival team, man, it's a different game. It's a different environment to play. Like you're swinging for the fences on everything with that. So like when he wore that shirt, the administration got word of it. Obviously, they were doing it just being buddies, just sticking around, But they got so mad the next day. So Thursday was sophomore JV games. Friday was varsity, the big rival game. So when the next day that it happened, they had a big old assembly right out of nowhere to hype up this game for them. And it really, like, they came out and smacked the crap out of us, bro. But it was the funniest thing because you talk about rivalry week. It's like, that's rivalry week. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? Being able to punch someone in their mouth and go back and do it again, But we still talk about that to this day.
Dang.
That's 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, man. I mean, just like I say, those memories are very fond. Playing in high school, we had rivals too, and it was just intense, man. We had a brawl actually. The parents came out the stands, and this is my sophomore year, and they mobbed the field. They had to escort us to the bus, man. And then the next day, the varsity, the team that we played, had to come to our school. It was just hectic that time, but I understand exactly what you're saying, man. The temperature is way different when you play your rival.
That goes back to just sports, though, man. And being a competitive athlete, it's like there's something about it, man. That like you either have it or you don't. Maybe you can relate to that. Like you play to win or you don't. That's how I play my life.
Yeah.
Everything I do, I play to win. And so everything I do in my life, the mentality is with that. That's why my wrestling career is thriving, because I refuse to lose. And I learned that resulting all the way back to sports, man. That's where it started for me.
There you go. So talking about winning and losing, did you guys make the playoffs?
Bro, we'd be that. You ever see that meme on Facebook where it says we put on for our city just to go out to get crushed by like 60 points? That was definitely our school. We made the playoffs my junior year, but my senior year we did not. We were the odd man out where they switched the regions, and instead of taking 6 teams, they took 5. And now they take everybody. Now everyone makes playoffs, apparently, which sucks because that would have been nice, to play playoffs. Yeah. But nah, I never played playoff ball. So
I understand. So did you go to any camps like to other colleges while you were in high school?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I did a lot of visits to like Utah State, which is obviously the big schools in Utah. I did the Weber State camps, the camp we always did. Those are the fun times, man. We were just chatting with my buddy about things we did at Weber State 2 days ago. Like I said, that was 15, 20 years ago, man. These are memories and moments that we will cherish for the rest of our lives because of these. We had the opportunity to play sports. Like I said, we're still talking about a lot of this stuff to this day. It's wild.
Yeah, man. Did y'all play 7-on-7 back then too?
Oh yeah, all the time, man.
Yeah. So he competed.
you know how they do the 7-on-7 All-Star teams. I may not be more of the East Coast, but the West Coast
Uh-huh.
they do All-Star tournament in Vegas, usually preseason.
Uh-huh.
I was selected for the All-Star team preseason, so I went down and played with a lot of those teams and it was like that was a fun time, man, because you got to see where you stand. You know, you got to look across the whole board of all these great high school players that everyone talks about, everyone hears about, you know, and being able to play and compete with them, man. It was that moment of time where I was like, all right, I can do this, I can compete, you know.
Yeah. So, talking about that a little bit, who were some of the players that you played with in those camps that end up making it to the next level, end up going playing professional? Do you have any like teammates or rivals that you played against that end up going to the next level?
I mean, not particularly me that I played with. A lot of us, you know, I think that's the problem with Utah sports is everyone tries to just go to local schools. You know what I mean? I think whenever you're put out of your comfort zone is when you grow. Obviously, if you live in Utah and you go to a school that's in Utah, that's not really a comfort zone because you're just driving down the street to go to school again. So I think that cripples a lot of the athlete. In my opinion, again, this could be completely wrong, but I think that cripples a lot of athletes' growth and development because they're not really put in a situation where they had to grow and develop without mom and dad. You know. So therefore, if they fell, it's easy. I just go down the street and go home versus moving to a college in South Carolina. You figure it out or you go home crying, and that's really the reality of it. As far as me knowing anyone, I mean, I know one of my receivers on the other side. He was a little year older than me. His name Fatu Malala. He ended up playing at the U. He ended up going to play, get a few tryouts with the Green Bay Packers and whatnot. But no, I just think Utah sports. I mean, they're good. They've progressed a lot since then. So a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are getting it, but not anyone I know particularly that I played with that went to that next level to the NFL.
All right. Any All-Star games that you played in?
Just the one I mentioned about just being in the Vegas doing the All Stars preseason 7-on-7. Um, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of regret. Not I want to say regret because I think everything happens for a reason, but there was a lot at that time period that was going on for me where I used every excuse in the world to not do a lot. And that's what I'm really trying to hammer into my son now. It's like, look, you only get one go around at this, and you'll regret it for the rest of your life if you don't act now. At least if you gave it everything you got, and then you fail, then you have, then it's okay because you gave it everything you got. But if you didn't even try or pursue it, and you had the opportunity to do it, that's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. And it kind of does to me, but I'm not because I really feel wrestling was my avenue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, reason why I bring that up because I said like my son was born my senior year, so like right after the football season, I kind of just focused on being a father and just kind of put sports to the side. I didn't have to, but I did. You know what I mean? Like I used every excuse like to not pursue it. It was on me and my shoulders alone. But no, I didn't play in any All-Star games, no big games after that. I mean, I was all region, all state, but
Wow.
I
So you
didn't.
had a lot of recruits coming to see you. What visits did you go to? What some of those letters?
So one of the Jody Sears was the Washington State, Washington, was it Washington State, the Cougars, right? Yeah, Washington State Cougars. They came to my school, and this is one of the moments I tell my kid all the time because he wasn't even born yet. But me and his mom were sitting in class, and the coach, actually, my high school coach, comes marching in, and the recruiter actually pulled me out and basically said, "Hey, we want you. What do we got to do to bring you in there?" But the cool feeling in the world was I didn't have to go to them; they came to me. You know what I mean? Like they came to my school to offer me the opportunity to perform at the next level in front of my son's mom too. You know what I mean? So it was a moment for me that'll never be taken away. Maybe that's where the satisfaction in me is like, all right, I proved I could do it. I don't know. But Washington State, I went to visits at Utah State. I did a few at Oregon. Mostly West Coast schools. Like I said, I had a JUCO offer in I think Southern Virginia University, but I think I was just like a partial scholarship offer. And at that time when it came in, I was kind of already phased out football. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So what was next for Manny at that point? Did you go military? Did you go to a technical school? What happened after
So
graduation?
basically, so basically after graduation, it was the midlife crisis. I always say.
Oh,
Because I being a young dad, I was 17 when I had my first child. I couldn't even get like after I graduated high school, I was still 17, so I couldn't even get my own apartment lease or whatnot, So I pretty much just went to work full time like during the summer and just kind of saved up until I turned 18 to get me and my baby mom into an apartment. But after high school, I still tried to play. I took a year off of sports and everything. I still tried to play semi-pro, and
Okay.
I played that for, I'd say, from 2012 to 2000 till the pandemic. Actually, is when I stopped playing. If the pandemic didn't happen, I probably would have still played.
What?
Yeah, but that was just doing it for fun because my brothers, my friends, But we really did pretty good, man. We turned just a bunch of kids from a small high school that played together. We went out and made a lot of noise in the community of semi-pro here for football. We've won multiple championships. We really kind of elevated the league to get a lot of attention off. Like I said, the pandemic killed a lot of that stuff off, but I think that did that for everyone. It was kind of a reset. But that was kind of my life with academic sports, playing freaking, other than just playing part-time softball and stuff. But wrestling became kind of my passion because what happened is during that time, I went to work and I got depressed. Like it wasn't for me, I mean, I'm 19 years old. I own my own house. I'm a father of a 2-year-old. I had to have something for myself to really fill that void. And that's where I found professional wrestling. I always knew this school was called Ultra Championship Wrestling Zero. They were a local school here in Utah. I kind of followed them back in the MySpace days just because obviously social media wasn't around. But they
Yeah.
had a MySpace page. And I'd always get those those great value coupon things, those brochures, those books, they come in. They would always have a section there promoting the show. So I'd always see that and follow up with that. But I ended up actually going to in for a tryout. They said, yeah, come to a tryout, come to training or whatever. And the first day I went there, I got dropped on my head. I just try to do a flip bump, whatever, and I just went targeted right into my head. And I brought one of my best friends with me. I said, hey, bro, I'm going to do this wrestling thing. Come with me. It's cool. Let's go check it out. And he's like, he hates wrestling, but he loves it because of me. But he went with me. And, that's really what took the void over was professional wrestling. I really feel that void for me of the athletic endeavor because to this day, I still train like I'm going out there to go freaking play in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So
I feel you. Yeah. So, who was the wrestler that inspires you to start wrestling? Like, who did you watch growing up? Who was your favorite wrestler?
Man, I always remember it's the Sting. I was a big WCW guy. So, and I say this on probably mostly every podcast I do, but Sting was definitely the guy. I remember being on my dad's lap in 1996. I was 3-4 years old. And it's when Sting, it was the moment where they jumped the Giant, the NWO jumped the Giant. They boom, 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 taking him out. Sting comes out, has the bat. They all clear house. He has the bat, puts it around, drops the bat. Then all of a sudden they all come in one by one. He starts clearing house. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. The way Bischoff and Tony Schiavone and Eden sold that, like, I was like, this is cool, man. Like that moment alone, it was kind of like the bully, the bullies getting picked back. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And took control back. So like that moment for me was always. I remember this vision. Like I remember what I was doing at this time when it happened. So I was really attracted to Sting growing up. I always, when I finally ended up meeting him and working, I didn't wrestle him, but like working with him, passing by at AEW and whatnot, it was like a cool moment to really have that and really meet him and say, hey, you're my hero, man. Like, thank you, because without you, I probably would not be here. And he was, oh, thank you for that, So
yeah. He's still wrestling.
Yeah, I know. He had his retirement, but I don't think he's going to stay retired. I don't think he can retire, man. Like, it's just a passion of love. Like,
He was a high demand next to Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair was always the villain. Me growing up, I used to always follow Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, Junkyard Dog, Magnum TA, back in the NWA, was called National Wrestling Alliance back then. But I got some clips I want to show real quick to the fans, for everybody that's watching. Y'all make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Deezer, Spotify. I have Championship Wrestler Manny Lemons. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Stay with me, Manny. We'll be right back. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We back. I told you he was a champion. This guy right here, he got some crazy moves out here, man. We're gonna go ahead and get into the next clip in a little bit. But let me ask you, who put that film together? Was that you?
Nah, bro, I can't take any credit for anything. So, Devotion Championship Wrestling, obviously, we mentioned I'm the owner of that. Um, Trent Hunsaker is a diamond in the rough, bro. He's actually our production. He's our production team. There's no production team. It's just him. He does all the editing, all the videoing, all the photography, bro. This dude is a diamond when it comes to not even just the wrestling business, but just recording in general. Like he took that. It's funny because that video was, I would say, it was during the pandemic. We ended up getting a TV deal here in Utah at CW30. Um, and Vince Russo was our head writer, so he was actually the one who wrote that clip, and Trent Hunsaker was the one who put it together and edited it like that, made me look like $1,000,000. So props to him, man. He gets all the credit in the world.
All right. Let me see if you know this. Who was your favorite commentator in wrestling growing up?
Tony Schiavone.
Tony Schiavone. Oh, you know it. Tony Schiavone, Mean Gene. Who else was it? I forgot.
Jim Ross, Jerry King Lawler, yeah.
Jim Ross still announcing, right?
Yeah, he still does work with AEW. But I have to say, Tony Schiavone, because that's the voice I heard when I retracted that Sting moment. It's just
there you go.
He's got a bat. You know what I mean? Like I hear that in my head, like clear as day.
I remember that day. It was what, NWO?
Yep.
It was the Four Horsemen. Then it turned to NWO, and they jumped on my man. And then Sting came and saved the day. And a couple months later, Sting joined NWO. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Things went left, and then WWF just took off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, talk about wrestling out there in Colorado. When you started training, like, what was the biggest, obstacle that you had to overcome?
Self-doubt. I think that's the biggest thing with a lot of us is just we always doubt ourselves. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I'm the owner of Devotion Tech Wrestling and the Austin Wrestling Academy, Utah. So I train students too, and new people who result. And I bring this up because I see myself back in the day doing the same thing. Is whenever they say, "Well, I want to wait till I get in shape. I want to wait till I look better," and it's like really like there's really no moment that's going to be ready to go until you just jump all in and do it. You know what I mean? Like as you progress, you're going to lose the weight. You're going to get in better shape. You know what I mean? So like that, I'd say that self-doubt was the biggest thing for me because during that time, I was a dad too. So I let myself go. I was fat, I was out of shape, I had a beer gut, and I mean, I always knew how to lift and whatnot because of football. So like that, I was always gaining my confidence then. But again, that retracts to a lot of people who don't have that. They don't have the sports background where they can result back to that. So a lot of people kill their self-doubt kills their dreams and ambitions because they don't even have the guts to go try it because they've never even put an opportunity to go try it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So who was the guy that worked with you the most, trained you, got you ready?
So at that time, when I was fortunate enough when I first started, Tom Howard, who was the old developmental coach at WWE, used to run UPW in California. He was actually living here in Utah for like I'd say about a year at a time. So like when I lucked out, bro, when I first got into the business because he was there pretty much every day training people and whatnot. But I mean, like at that time, I've regressed. I would say I've had a lot of coaches and mentors really help me out. I mean, I really think if you think of anyone and everyone. When I first started doing work with Ring of Honor, Bob Evans and Kevin Kelly were very big mentors to me, and they're the ones who actually helped create the persona Manny Lemons for me. Like just throughout life, QT Marshall, Cody Rhodes, Glacier, Ray Lloyd are coaches today that are my coaches. The Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, like during my Impact run, they were the ones who kind of helped mentor me and help guide me through this journey too, So like I said, like no one's really self-made. Like Gabe Sapolsky, who's the new WWE recruiter right now, he's kind of a coach and a mentor to me now because we're always engaging and conversating how to kind of make Manny better. You know what I mean? So it's really just kind of taking bits and pieces from everybody, man. I can't really sit there and say.
It's crazy that life comes full circle because when I was about 27 years old, I used to work for this restaurant called Taco Mac as a manager. This was out in Alpharetta. It was called Wynwood Parkway.
I love Taco Mac, bro. I love Taco Mac. We'll talk about that in a minute.
So one of the guys that used to come there on a regular was Cody.
Yeah.
So every day I used to, drop chips and salsa off to him, and now he's about to wrestle Saturday for SummerSlam and defend his title. So it's like I watched him really like in high school, started wrestling, Dusty Rhodes' son, and now he's fulfilled a dream or whatnot. So that's awesome to watch, and that's crazy that you know him as well. So shout out to Cody if you're watching, man.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You mentioned that whole SummerSlam main event coming up. It's funny because Solo Sikoa is actually Devotion's first ever champion, and
What?
Cody Rhodes is my coach. So there's one of my coaches. So there's a lot of like build personally for me with that match. It's like I know more people who are in the Fed than I don't. You know what I mean? Like because I've worked with them so much. So like you mentioned the Taco Back and whatnot. I moved to during the pandemic. I moved to the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, Georgia, and trained there for 2-3 years from 2020 till I just moved back last year. But that's where I was training out of Cody's school. And I used to do. You mentioned Cody a long time. I used to do a lot of. We used to do a lot of Saturday brunches with Glacier Ray Lloyd. We go meet, his old high school coach, Steve May, and all them. Like I knew all those people. So like when his documentary came out, it's kind of cool. Like you said, it kind of comes full circle that you've like what I've done has mattered because it shows that I'm at a level that I'm like, all right, to my family, look, see, we're really making moves now. We're really doing it. Taco Mac was one of my favorite spots there, bro. I miss Georgia. I miss Atlanta for Taco Mac.
Exactly, man. Get everything there, man. It's the best atmosphere for any sports bar. It's probably the best sports bar situation you could possibly be in.
I agree, hands down, best of the
All
best
the
in the
beer in
world.
the world that you want is there. All the food that you want. All the TVs with all the channels with whatever deal they got. I don't know if it's direct or dish or whatever now, YouTube TV, but it was the shit back then. Excuse my language.
Yep,
Probably
100%.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get into another clip, man. I got another match that we're going to watch real quick. I don't own the rights to this clip or the music in it. We have what's the Devotion Championship wrestler and Colorado Wrestling Connection wrestler, Mr. Manny Lemons. All right, go ahead and get into it. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe on YouTube, hit that like button, share with your friends and family. We're gonna go ahead and get into this clip. Manny, stay with me. All right.
Yes, sir.
Our official calls for the bell, and we are, oh my goodness, Manny Lemons springs off the line like a nose tackle and puts Porter Blake now into the turnbuckle over and over and over. Goes back across, does it again. The fans counting along. Manny Lemons definitely has something to prove tonight, giving Porter Blake a taste of Lemons' own turnbuckle style. Definitely seems to be matching the claw style right off the bat. Porter Blake on his knees, definitely discombobulated at this point. Manny Lemons is rearing and ready to deliver. Up on the shoulder. Oh, a rake of the eyes from the Clawmaster, and drops Manny Lemons. Lemons now rolling over to the apron. Blake now delivering his own tit for tat, stomping the chest and shoulder of Porter Blake. Our senior official, Johnny Utah Godfrey, administering the count that pulls him off, brings him back now, hooks his arm underneath the top rope, and we're going to see his own, vicious sledgehammer chops. Oh, Manny Lemons rolls out to the outside of the ring. This is reminiscent of what happened last week between Porter Blake and Rekka Tahaka when they went outside of the ring. It did not end well for Rekka, that's for sure. Blake now sizing up Lemons, but Lemons quick to strike. A roundhouse from Lemons puts Blake now twice onto his heels. Comes off of the apron, another roundhouse. Blake, seemingly on spaghetti legs, rolls back into the ring, quickly goes off the ropes, and a running drop kick to the breadbasket of Manny Lemons has him outside of the ring on the floor, pulled back into the ring by Blake. Porter Blake is a master and a student of kinesiology. He understands the positioning of the body and how to do the most damage, as we see right there, stomping right into the shoulder. That's a broken clavicle, a separated shoulder waiting to happen. Now into a sleeper hold. Our official checking to make sure that the chin is in the crook right there, so it's still a legal hold. Porter Blake, also a master of grappling and mat manipulation. This is definitely the place he wants to be in this contest, but Manny Lemon's able to deliver a couple of well-placed elbows to break that sleeper hold. Lemons creates some distance, comes off the ropes. Oh, but a double-handed chop right into the thigh of Manny Lemons. Puts him down, and here is the classic Zhao style of Porter Blake. Right to the chest. He has just been working that chest over and his shoulders over throughout this whole night. Porter Blake knows what he's doing when he gets in the ring. He always has a plan. He's a man that forces his opponents to bring their A game. And a picture-perfect snap suplex. Manny Lemons is in deep, deep trouble right now. Porter Blake, oh gosh, right to the back of Manny Lemons. Manny Lemons wearing that weightlifter's belt support for his lower back, and Porter Blake pulling it off. Oh gosh, clawing at the kidneys. For anyone who has ever had a kidney punch or any sort of strike delivered to the kidneys, there is about nothing more tender out there than a vulnerable kidney, and Porter Blake is definitely taking advantage of that right now. The fans getting behind Manny Lemons. Manny up to his feet now, pulled into the center of the ring, and a right cross from Porter Blake, followed by a jab in kind from Lemons into another cross, and a roundhouse, delivering roundhouse strikes across there, a roundhouse across, a roundhouse across, a roundhouse, back and forth, tit for tat. These two gentlemen seem to be at an almost stalemate at this point, and Blake delivers his bread and butter, the Zhao claw, thrown off by Manny Lemons, only to be applied by the second hand, followed up by a European uppercut. A second European uppercut puts Manny flat on his back, and he is definitely not in a good place right now. Not in a good place in the least bit. And again, right back to those kidney shots, the lower back shots that Porter Blake has been targeting throughout the night. Manny Lemons visibly anguished and in pain, looking for some sort of reprieve at this point, but Porter Blake is relentless in his advance on this offensive attack he's got going for him right now, and rightfully so. For any competitor, when you've got the momentum on your end, you want to keep that pendulum swinging as far as you can. Porter Blake taking some time to trash talk right now. Can you imagine? He could end up being our DCW champion. That would change the face, the very being of Devotion Championship Wrestling. The fans not happy about the way things are going right now. Blake now, are we going to see his classic Zhao down right here? He's calling for it. Lemons barely up to his feet, able to dodge it. And a giant lariato followed by a second. Lemons takes Blake into a fireman carry, and now a big Samoan drop in honor of his wife, Reka Tehaka. 1, 2, 3. No, that was 2. Barely able to get a shoulder up, Porter Blake. Manny Lemons is feeling pumped up. The fans completely behind him. Back in to a fireman carry for a second, but countered again by Lemons. Lemons quickly now going for his secret weapon, but Blake administers the Zhao claw. Meanwhile, Manny is chomping in to the zest for life. Oh, he puts it into the mouth of Blake, and Lemons delivers a standing FTC, our official 1, 2. That's all, folks. Manny Lemons remains your DCW champion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had a championship match right there with Manny Lemons. Talk about that fight right there, Manny.
Damn, you really dug in the archives for this one, huh?
Yeah, man.
That one was that was during the hype of that was literally the last show during the pandemic era. I think it was. I mean, before the pandemic hit. I want to think it was like March of 2020. I want to say, just based on this listening to commentary at the time. It's funny how much. You resort back to football, man. Film don't lie. Film does not lie. So watching your matches, we always have film review and study at our school. But like watching that again, I'm like, man, it's a reminder that I've really progressed that much and within that much time. But with that particular match, it was the one that I told you Vince Russo was our head writer and producer at the time. We did the storyline where at the time I wasn't married officially on paper, but in character we were dating, and on paper, as far as the gimmicks go, Rekka was my wife at the time. So obviously I was trying to get revenge back on her because Porter Blake and her had some feud prior to that where he kind of went more vicious and more. It allowed me to come step in and take over, But the match, I mean, it was a good that venue. I missed that venue too because that venue was like kind of like a ballroom hall where like it looks really professional, looks cool on camera. It's funny to see how much HD cameras have progressed within just even a few years of time. You know what I mean? Like, because that you could tell the high definition on that's like a lot lower than the high definition we use now, or even like WWE. You know what I mean? Obviously, night and day with WWE, but it's but the match was a good match. I mean, I really dug. I think Devotion was really onto something during that time where we had the TV deal, we had Russo. It's just the pandemic. It just really changed everything for everyone. But that was a really fun time of my life, and I really think that was a high point for Utah wrestling because it showed that the company and myself are here to stay. And looking back to see the match then, and seeing how much I progressed. Yes, I was a champion. I want people to know I wasn't champion just because I owned the company, though. Russo booked me to be champion. I told him I didn't want to be champion, but he saw at the time that I needed to be champion because I was the top guy in Utah. So it was a good match. I can sit there and nitpick apart. The coach of me wants to nitpick apart all this stuff, but that's where I'm coachable. I know, like, I can always be better. You know what I mean? And just see the film, like, it gives me a reminder, like, look, we did good. We're still doing good. We're still going to be great,
Hey, that's it, man. Progression, man. So talk about how you came up with the name, Lemons.
So referring back to when you talk about the coach and mentor, during the time of 2015, 2016, I was doing some work with Ring of Honor. I'd go out to Philadelphia and go to their tryout camps, just obviously like everyone, trying to get noticed, trying to get a break. When I went out I met Bob Evans and Kevin Kelly here in Denver prior. They did a seminar in Denver. So me and a crew of guys drove in from Salt Lake to Denver, went there, met Kevin Kelly. They recommended come out to the Ring of Honor, try out, see how it goes. When I went to the Ring of Honor, tryout, I remember this because Jay Lethal was the world champion at the time. And bro, I had my Ring of Honor tryout match against the world champion, Jay Lethal. And I was supposed to go over in the match. But I screwed it up and he just audible lethal injection me, boom, game over, But I could have pinned the world champion, and that was a mistake on me, like, damn it, I screwed up there. But as I gone through the whole camp, my gimmick name at that time, my first name, I go by Manny, and my last name at that time was Fresh, just like the rapper Manny Fresh. I was always in family nickname. My brother always called me growing up, so I just figured why not use that as a wrestling name because that's the only one I want to use, So when I went to the camp, I went to the tryouts. After that, we all went kind of to a diner because we were kind of close. We kind of wind down for the camp. They're just like, they didn't remember me. They remember my first name was Manny and I wore a bright ass yellow shirt. So they always kept calling me Manny Lemons throughout the whole camp. So we went to the diner there. Kevin Kelly, Bob Evans is like, why don't you run with that? And I'm like, that's so stupid. I don't want to be Lemons. You know what I mean? But then the guy, he got me in contact with Richard, who does like a lot of the graphics for the Ring of Honor guys. And they created the lemon head. I think you see on a lot of my graphics, a lot of my t-shirts. And the minute I saw that, man, I saw money in it, and I was like, okay, there might be something to this because you become a little bit marketable. Versus, like, I think every wrestler, including myself, we just want to get in wrestling because it's what we want to do, but we don't think about the gimmicks. We don't think about the marketing. We don't think about that. That just comes with time. We kind of progress and learn from everyone around us. So when it happened, I remember my first match as Manny Lemons was here in Utah at that one promotion, UCW. I just did it in a favor to show up for them. But when I went out there, I got a reaction that I never got before. And I would come out, and at that time, I was just plain yellow tights because I didn't want to put too much in the gimmick. I just wanted to see, okay, let's try it out. And I'd come out with, instead of lemons at that time, I think I came out with, what are they called? Lemon heads? Like the candy lemon heads? Yeah, I came out lemons heads. So instead of me like hyping up with lemons, I hyped up with lemon heads at the end of the match where I might come back, hit my finish. And then the reaction from the crowd was like, I was like, okay, they're buying what I'm selling, So just throughout time, I just kind of progressed. And, me and Manny Smith and Manny Lemons are the same thing right now. I introduced myself. I am Manny Lemons. That's who I am. It's my persona now. And like the catchphrases, the man, the brand, the king lemonade stand, zest of the best, the rest. They've all kind of just progressed over time where You know what I mean? I could sit there and I say it into the casual viewer, and it pops. I went to my son's practice yesterday, and they're like, Manny Lemons. I said, yes, sir. Zest of the best, baby boy. And everyone who knows nothing about wrestling, they sit there and laugh. It's like, that's the people's attention I want to get. You know what I mean? Because if we're over here recycling the same, we want to get the casual viewers. We want to create new fans to the industry and to our business. And we can't do that if we're just giving them the same old rewind of a product. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. Everyone knows who The Rock is. Everyone knows who Hogan is. Well, I'm not trying to be those guys. I'm trying to be the first ever Manny Lemons, you know? And I know every person says that, but that's just always been my agenda with it now. Like, I know where I'm going, and I'm not going to stop till I'm the biggest star in the industry, you know?
Yep, exactly. So if somebody wanted to get some merch from you, Manny, where do they have to go?
Just follow me on social media at Manny Lemons on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I got my Pro Wrestling Tees page where you can purchase t-shirt there. My new winners aren't allowed to let losers write history t-shirts, only available at shows. I just, kind of keep it separate. But I mean, if someone really wanted to purchase one of those shirts, just, DM me. I can go ahead and ship them out for that. Just try to keep the products separate. Don't want to co-sign it.
All right, cool.
Take
I got one more clip we're gonna get into. I don't own the rights to it. We're gonna go ahead and make this our last clip. Just stay with me, Manny, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Over, but a shoulder block isn't gonna put him away. Drop down.
He may take more than shoulder block.
Thomas Day tries.
Thomas Day.
Daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting.
Yeah, thanks for both things.
Producer Peter Avalon has nobody but himself to blame to be in this position because Ryan Morrill's made it clear he wanted nothing to do with the kittens as Thomas Day hits hard and heavy. Pushed it off. Submission attempt. He's got a variation of an armbar.
Yeah, we having some trouble with that one right there, man. So go ahead and cut that one short. But talk about that match a little bit. Where were you at in that match?
So that was Championship Wrestling from Arizona. I want to say 2018, based on the gear and my look, I want to say. Yeah. But Championship Wrestling from Arizona was a fun time, man. I really dug that because I really felt like I was a pioneer to help really put that company on the map. Because when I first started going out there in 2016, 2017, it's in Arizona. So, I mean, obviously, anywhere in this area, bro, you're driving 6, 7, 8, 10 hours just to get a single booking. That's the thing that sucks about being on the West Coast because it is, the territories are so spread out. Yeah. But I'd literally drive to that promotion every day. I used to work at a bank, so I'd work my 50 hours a week at a bank as a manager. I'd get in my car. We'd drive Friday night because their show would be usually like Saturday morning at like 1 p.m. We'd drive, turn and burn it through the whole night, no sleep, get there, work the show, take a nap, then, hang out in the city that night type deal. But I really dug that because like during that time, like it was a proving point. I needed a company to really give me the opportunity to show that I could be more than just jobber, and they put their trust in me to really help. I was the top babyface for the promotion for 2 or 3 years. And when after my title feud there with Gino Rivera, he beat me for this Arizona State title multiple times, but it was the top feud and it really put eyes on the product. They gave me a month off to come back, you know what I mean? Because they had to record TV, but they wanted me to come back with a big pop. When I came back after that title match in 2017, and I was just just kind of a surprise guest, not announced. That was one of the loudest reactions I ever had. The crowd went freaking crazy when I returned, and it was like, to me, it was such a genuine feeling that it's like, all right, we're making moves. You know what I mean? Because we're trying to get the reaction. You know,
Yep.
everyone, like, you know, you mentioned the thing about your titles or whatever. Everyone's so drawn by the title. Yeah, of course, I want to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but let's get the story told so that way we can have the best possible product. So that way the people in attendance will continue to come back and they'll tell their friends about it. They'll tell their family about it. Because again, bro, we got to really build the industry. And if we're not building it as the talent and giving them the best possible product, then what are we doing for? And that was a moment in time where I really felt like I helped elevate that company and I helped put that company on the map. Obviously, again, pandemic killed a lot of things off. That's when it went away. But during that time was one of the funnest times of my life, and that match was really good because I want to say it was probably maybe a match or two after my comeback there. So like, as you could tell, the crowd was still into me and they're still hot, and it was a good 6 to 7 minute television match for me to get the reps and learn how to work TV too. You know.
I understand exactly what you're saying. You kind of like building a catalog for people to follow, just like a musician. You know, you got a big catalog now. Hey, they're going to come back for more, right? You know, what else is he going to do this next time? You know what I'm saying? My next question to you is, do you retire your gear from year after year, or you just rotate them out?
No, I mean, I always get new gear. Yeah, I want to say like I retire them. I think after I wear them for a while, they become my indie gear. So like I'll wear them on indie shows, you know, not televised shows. Because there's a rule about television is you always want to be TV ready. So you always want to have fresh gear. You always want to make it look good. It's got to be branded, marketable, sparkles. Does it get the attention? Does it command the attention of the audience? That's why I cut my hair, you know, TV ready. You know, you always want to be TV ready. So like, so I don't wear any of my old gear on television or when I do, bigger shows with, that's going to be recorded. Like if I do indie shows, it's a little different. People ask me to sell my gear. I always end up, if someone wants a piece of particular gear, I'll end up selling it to them, I don't say I retire it though, because I mean, I'm in my apartment right now and I got a closet full of old gear that I need to go through and see if anything still fits me or what can I wear to when I do my next couple loops, so.
All right, cool. So what's next for Manny Lemons?
We'll be cooking, man. I'm really excited for this. 2025 is really gearing up to be a huge mega year for wrestling entirely, for WWE, with Cena's retirement, Netflix, all the big pay-per-views they have coming up. For me in particular, man, it's, one of my goals, and was the opportunity presented for me. I bring up WWE because like we're going to be performing at WrestleMania weekend, the Bush Championship Wrestling. We got a key time slot in Las Vegas. We'll be running out of the FSW arena, but it's 3 p.m. on a Friday. So you're literally like the kickoff show to the Hall of Fame, to SmackDown, to Mania, you know what I mean? Night 1, night 2. So we got that coming up. WrestleMania weekend will be in Las Vegas. For me particularly, I'm doing a lot of work with Game Changer Wrestling, and I'm excited to actually help them. They're coming to Salt Lake City August 18th, and I'm excited that Brett Lauderdale trusted me to help really put that show on and show that Salt Lake's a huge territory, because Salt Lake's booming, man. Salt Lake's an untapped territory. That's like before 2009. We was the last time we saw television. SmackDown come to Salt Lake. This year we get SmackDown twice. You know what I mean? That's just how much the community has built and how much it's grown. And people could say, well, it's because wrestling fans. Like, I really think it's because we built the community. We showed that there's wrestling here, and we're continuing to elevate it. But that's always going to be for me. So bringing Game Changer in, that's just another test. That's another test, another notch on my sleeve. They're one of the biggest companies in the world. Everyone knows who it is. So bringing them into Utah, and then one of my lifelong goals was to wrestle in front of my grandmother on a big show live, because she's seen me wrestle on TV, but she's never seen me live and in person on a bigger stage. So that Game Changer show is going to be really special for me, because she's got a ticket. She's going to be there to witness live on pay-per-view. I'm facing EC3 for the NWA World Title September 7th here in Salt Lake City, out of Taylorsville, Utah. So we got a big momentum shifting into that new year. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't go in to lose anything. I go in to win. Like I told you, I play to win, and that's everything. And I really feel that this is my season, this is my time, and this is my moment to make it happen. Not just for me, but for my son, for my grandma, for my dad, my brother, and everyone that believed in me. This is the moment. This is the time. That's
right. So where do people need to go? They need to go to your social media to get tickets for those shows, or is there?
Just check us out. So like I said, social media for me particularly is at Manny Lemons. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything. It's the same thing. So Devotion Championship Wrestling is the same exact thing for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're DCW Salt Lake on X. But you can follow us there. We always have our ticket links. We're always promoting the shows. We definitely, like I said, any new fans are within the area that are kind of hesitant about watching wrestling, come check out our show, man. I guarantee you'll be hooked. I guarantee you'll keep coming back for more.
All right. So, Manny, what is your advice to kids growing up today? It's a lot of distractions, social media. What is your biggest advice for someone that's want to wrestle, sports, or anything, or follow their dreams? What's your biggest advice?
I'd say go out and do it. You know what I mean? Like I said, the self-doubt. Don't let your self-doubt take over. Don't compare. John Cena says the comparison is the thief of joy, and I believe that. So many kids now, because of social media, they're comparing themselves to every other kid. Like, oh, I got to be the cool kid. I got to wear this. They're going to make fun of me for that. The minute you can stop worrying about what people say, the minute you stop caring, is the minute you become unstoppable. Because I don't give a crap what anyone thinks about me. You know what I mean? People say the worst things about me. Good. Let them have that opinion of me. I know what's real. But when you can have that mindset, and I know it's tougher at a young age to develop that because we're still trying to figure out a way of life to get in. But that's why I always say, don't let anyone tell you can't achieve the dream you want to achieve the dream that you want, because I'm living proof that I'm living my dream. And I'm a single dad. I got all the problems that every other person has in America. You know, we're all struggling here, but my desires and my passions are what carried me through that. So if you have something you really desire or passion to go after, go F and get it.
All right. Any shout outs before we head out? Anybody you'd like to thank along your journey?
I mean, I just would like to thank, obviously, my family, all my coaches or whatnot. So I really, like I said, no one's self-made, and I want to be the man I am standing here today if it wasn't for them to really helping develop me, you know. I'm going to have to create a Hall of Fame speech of how many people I'm going to have to thank, because there's really a lot of them, man. Like, you know, like I said, Tommy Dreamer is a big mentor to me. Scott D'Amore was a big mentor to me. Keith Slater was a mentor to me. You know what I mean? Like, all these legends and all these names. Like, Ricky Morton was a mentor to me. EC3 is a mentor to me. You know what I mean? Like I like when it comes to the wrestling business, but at the core of it, you know, I do want to thank my dad for being my best friend and being there to support me and allowing me to achieve my dreams, because he gave up on his dreams so that way we can go achieve ours to break that generational curse, you know. So
I understand, man. That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Manny, and I'd love to have you back on after you go out and get that title. Make sure everybody subscribe to our channel. You just watch a new edition of Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter. I'd like to thank my special guest once again, Colorado Wrestling Connection and Devotion Championship wrestler Manny Lemons. All right, Manny, let them know your spiel one more time before we head out.
hey, you know why we're here? It's Zest of the Best. You know the rest. It's your boy, the man, the brand, the king of the lemonade stand, live from the sports land, baby. Thanks for having me on, man.
And we appreciate it, man. Everybody, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. And you know my motto, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. All right? Until next time, peace. Y'all be safe. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, brother, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have any questions or anything, man, feel free to hit me up. I know I'm not usually good on texting back, but
it's all good.
If I commit to something, I'm there. So
all right. We appreciate you coming. We'd love to have you back on, all right?
Sounds good, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right. Everybody, thanks for watching.
Thank you.